I began looking for sketches done by Bob Lazar over various interviews. Here's some of the sketches done. These were done for Best Evidence, a video documentary Best Evidence. And he made other sketches for other presentations. He eventually sketched all of the craft at level 1. And there were some that were quite different. These are images that came from various interviews with Bob Lazar. This is an interview for a document drawn by Bob Lazar also. I don't know where he got the image of the alien. I don't know that he had any contact with aliens. So there's the last sketch by Bob Lazar.
Do you think it was possible that Orion was a CIA disinformation agent who was posing as a S4 sentry to discredit Lazar's testimony or confuse Lazar's testimony?
He didn't seem to know anything about Lazar's testimony.
I've personally heard of Bob Lazar, but I personally just heard of him in the last 2 months I was there. We were never told anything about him. As I say, I think when they transferred security, I think they did it complete detachments to completely eliminate, and I don't know what they do with the rest of the personnel because I've never got to that stage. I was discharged for medical reasons because I'm basically medically unfit to perform my duties anymore. Bob Lazar, I don't know too much about him. I know I can't say for sure if he was a resident there. I've never seen any photographs of him, but they keep all that under wraps. If there's ever been security breach, they're not going to tell you. I've never heard his name mentioned at the facility. But from what I hear, he describes the facility very good in detail.
He was only hired by the Atomic Energy Commission people to do some back engineering because of his engineering expertise. Others later, Huff and John Lear, went to where Bob Lazar lived in Los Alamos, and they got pictures of his house. They got a telephone book with his address at that house in it and his telephone number. They even found a picture in the newspaper of him showing his home-built jet car. So that made Edward Teller the liar and the whole deal. He knew Bob Lazar.
What else do you know about Ed Teller in connection with Area 51, Groom Lake, and S4?
Well, Edward Teller was the head of the Atomic Energy Commission and was therefore the overall head of all of the Groom Lake operations. S4 and Area 51, all of them. They had Edward Teller, for instance, one time, who was the head of all of the Atomic Energy Commission facilities, which included Area 51 and Los Alamos and all the big, most secret facilities this country has. He said he told them he didn't know anything about UFOs. At the same time, we know that a few years before that, in 1968, he held a conference in his center facilities there at Los Alamos for 18 people, a progress review conference, to find out why we hadn't solved the technical problems on an operational UFO that we had recovered. And one of the alien occupants of that UFO was sitting across the table from my friend Bill Uhouse, an engineer, a simulator engineer there, who was working with the alien on trying to bridge the technology between their technology and ours. And from 54 to 68, they hadn't succeeded in making any real significant progress. And this is what the meeting was all about. Why aren't we able to do this? And the alien indicated that their technology requires a certain amount of mental input that we have never learned to impart.
So maybe it has to do with a certain type of brainwave activity, and you have to be in a certain
brainwave pattern too that we are not familiar with. And here's the same guy sitting at the head of the table with all of his scientists around there. Years later is lecturing in Dallas for MUFA and says he doesn't know anything about UFOs.
And Ed Teller, isn't he also the one who Bob Lazar claimed hired him to work at Area 51 and S4?
On crashed UFOs.
Right, but he doesn't know a thing.
Said he didn't know anything about UFOs.
And was Edward Teller involved in the program as far back as the initial beginnings of Project Red Light?
He had to be. He was there during he took over after the atomic bomb project was finished and we began manufacturing bombs in quantity. He was still the head of the Atomic Energy Commission, had the most secure facilities in the whole United States. So that's why the crashed UFOs were taken to Atomic Energy Commission property, where they had super secret, secure facilities. The only other place that housed a lot of this stuff that was being recovered was the White Sands Missile Test Range, which was equally secure in the mountains behind the White Sands desert.